Now I am inside the cluster. Let me check. This is the kubectl utility. As I previously discussed, kubectl is a utility to communicate with the cluster, right? So if I see get nodes is to get the nodes that were part of the cluster which were in ready state. See, these are ready state. One is control plane that I already told you. These combination is called cluster nodes and the control plane. Control plane will have the API server, etcd, scheduler, controller manager, control play like cloud controller manager. Components will be available at that point of time, right? And these are the normal nodes which the workloads will be deployed. Okay. Now the cluster is running on 1.33.0 Kubernetes. So let's say kubectl get nodes I have did. Let get namespace. Get namespace. If you see, these are the namespaces. By default, your Kubernetes cluster will give these are the namespaces. First one is kube system. As I said, this will be contains your applications and everything like your API server related things, not your normal workloads. Okay, your normal workloads will go into this namespace. Okay, if you see the kubectl get pods command to see what are the pods are running -n to check any of the resources inside a particular namespace, we can give -n followed by the namespace. Let me give the kube system namespace. I want to see the pods inside the kube system namespace. If you see, these all are the kube system namespace contained pods. This is as I said previously, right? Kube proxy, okay, and API server, controller manager, etcd control plane, and these are the code DNS which will come later in this section, but it's an additional add-on kind of thing from the Kubernetes to do's and DNS lookups. Okay, and this is scheduler. Okay, these are the API server. This is API server. These are the important items that it will be contains the control plane components, right? Yeah, it will be in the kube system namespace. If you want to create anything, you need to create in a default namespace. Whenever you want to check any of the pods like this with this simple command, it means that you are looking into a default namespace, because in a Kubernetes by default it will connect to a default namespace. If you click on enter, see, it will showing that no resources found in the default namespace. That means you are not deployed any of the pods in the default namespace. If you want to check in a particular namespace, you need to provide -n here. Okay, -n provided by that namespace name. Let me create one pod. Okay, let me tell you one thing. Like the pods deployments, every resource will be created with the help of YAML files. Everything is a YAML file. Every object that we create is a YAML file. But also there is an option to create through a CLI. Let me do from this. I will show the YAML files in the document. Okay, as well. But meanwhile, let me create one pod with the help of here. Okay, if you see kubectl get pods, there is no pods that are currently running. Let me create kubectl run is command to create a pod. Okay, run pod name is test, and you need to provide the image on which you need to create this pod. The image is, let's say, Nginx is a web server which will be default by using everyone. So just I'm taking an example, and in which namespace I want to create, and default namespace only. That's why I'm not giving any of -n options here. Just I will create this. See, pod test is created. So this test is the name of the pod. This is the name of the image that container has been created inside the pod. If you see kubectl get pods now, see, one test is running. If you want to see what are the contents available in it, you need to describe this pod. This is very important command. Okay, describe pod test, and in the -n default namespace, by default it was granted to default only, so I'm not giving anything. Just I will give this. See what it is showing. It will show every detail of your pod that was created. Whenever you have an issue like pending pod, image pullback of any of the pod related issues, you need to describe first and check what happened, and then to the logs. Okay, in exam as well, please remember this point. So if you see here, you see this is the containers that are available within the pod. The container name is test. Whatever name you give to the pod, it will default take to the containers container name. Otherwise you can also provide the name of the container explicitly as well. This is only this pod contains one container where it is having the image Nginx image id. It is taken from the docker public repository directly, and I haven't defined any of the ports for this application. Just I created as a sample one. Okay, so ready true, so that means the container is ready. If you see what are the pods that were running in the cluster, and those pods will how the pod statuses are there, you can need to see in the condition. If you see type pod ready to start containers true, initialized true, ready true, containers ready, and pod scheduled, everything is true, that means it is perfectly running fine. If you have any issues, you can able to see here as well in the status section. Okay, in the status section you can see the IP, whatever this IP is given to the pod. I also said that previously the pod will get one IP, so this is the pod IP that was created, that is given. So this is the events that happened to the pod. First I started the container, then it created the container. For container creation I provided one image. First it will try to pull and successfully pull this image. This is the image size, and once the image is pulled and it will scheduler will assign, if you see this, scheduler will assign this pod to one of the node, it assigned to the node 01. Then it will successfully assign here. If you see kubectl get pods, you will see the running pod, and if you want to see on which node it is running, just give -o space wide, it will show you that it's in the node 01 and it is running from 2 minutes 45 seconds. This is the IP of the pod. How many times it restarted? 0 times. So because it is doesn't have any issue, or I did or I restarted this, that's why it is showing a 0 restarts. If you want to see the deployment, right, kubectl, for creating deployment you need to do create, kubectl create. For pod it is run and deployment create. You can also do that. See, this is the documentation of the Kubernetes. Okay, you in the exam also you will be provided with this, right? If you need to go to the any deployment or pod, just go to the tasks. Here you see the whatever the information available. Okay, but my suggestion is just search for pod here. Exam you can also do this. Okay, click on the pods here, scroll down, it will give you one Nginx pod that I created manually, right? This is the same, but additionally it provided one port, because Nginx will default by default run on the 80 port. Okay, that's why it is giving like this. You can copy this and directly use it. Okay, now I am going into the deployment. So search for deployment here if you want to find the deployment. Go to the deployment here. If you scroll down here, see, this is the deployment YAML file. So I have already explained you, right? So every resource contains the labels, that is nginx app.nginx. So this deployment object is tagged with app equal to nginx. This is the spec is the main template of the deployment configuration. If you see replicas count is 3, that means there are 3 replicas that I want to create here. Okay, 3 replicas, so 3 parts that I want to create. This selector, so what it is selecting, it is selecting app equal to nginx label. This is not the label provided here, this is a deployment label. It is an optional. If you would not like to give it, you can ignore this, but what important this is, in this template section we are giving this labels app nginx. This should be matched with this. Okay, because this is the template of the pod. Previously we have created one pod, right? The template we will write this here, and after writing this template we will give to this to the deployment to create this template. Take this template as a reference and create 3 replicas. So while telling this, we need to inform the Kubernetes on deployment object to select the particular pod inside the template to apply this replica count. That's why first we will create a template here. In the template we will mention the label, and we are selecting that label here. As I said, selector is basically used to select the labeled objects. So we are labeling this the pod here, and we are selecting that here. So what you need to provide this at this point, only the tag that you added in the metadata of template. Okay, remember this, not at the metadata level, it is a deployment label. Okay, so we have selected spec, we have created a selector selecting this pod which was mentioned in the pod template, and inside the template you will have another spec section. This is for pod spec, which we need to provide nginx image and the name and image and the port. Okay, if you want to generate this from your local, so let us create a deployment now. Kubectl create is the command, as I mentioned, create deployment, and the deployment name is test hyphen deploy hyphen image is nginx. Okay, nginx, and hyphen dry hyphen. If you don't want to run it, but just you want to template of YAML file from this command, we can just use hyphen dry run and hyphen o IAML. So output, so what I'm asking here, create a deployment, the name test deploy and image of this, and do a dry run only, don't run it normally, just do a dry run, don't apply this, but just run and provide the output in a YAML file. If you do this, see, it will give you the YAML file, but it won't create any of the deployment. Okay, just I will take this into a file in deploy.ml. If you do this, Okay, if you created this, see everything is already added. So just I am saving this and kubectl to apply any of the files that YAML files that were created. We can just use kubectl apply deploy.yaml file. Okay, so it is created. So if you want to see kubectl get deploy, the shortcut of deployment is deploy. Okay, you can use deploy, get deploy. If you see the deploy, then and it is test type and deploy, and it is saying that ready one by one. What is this one by one? It contains how many replicas that it will show here. Currently the replicas is only one because I haven't specified any replica in this command. That's why it is taking one as a default. If you want to use, you can use -FN replica here. -FN replicas, -FN replicas equal to 2. Like this you can give, then it will give create 2. So this is what, this is the desired number of replicas it was created, and how out of it how many are running. Okay, if you want to see the pods, kubectl get pods. See, this is the deployment. One by one run. This, what is this one by one? This one by one is how many containers this pod contains and how many are running. This only contains one container, and out of one it is running one. That's fine. So if you see the name, it is a different name than the pod. What it means? Let me tell you. This is the deployment name that I have given. First, it will start with the deployment name, and second, it will start with, it will give the replica set name. As I said, deployment contains replica set. So how you can prove this? Let's check this. Get a replica set. This is the resource name, replica set. You need to get those objects just to get replica set and enter. You see, one replica set is already running. Other than the deployment, as I said previously, this deployment is already running, test deploy. But what is this? This is the replica set. So how replica set will be created? It starts with the deployment name and a hash value and a one unique value is given after the name of the deployment, and to this name of replica set it will provide one random value here. So when you see a name of your deployment at start and something after this is called deployment resource, and this is called, this pod is created as a part of deployment. If you want to see kubectl describe pod, it will the same as a describe pod, but you will see the replica count. Okay, if you can see this, let me show you the kubectl describe deploy test type and deploy. Okay, if you see this, if you scroll down, if you scroll up like here, see, as I said, right, rolling update strategy it will take by default. So it will give you the updating strategy as well. If I see, I said, right, unavailable is 25, maximum surge is 25. That means out of 4 only create one, on top of it only delete one from it. Okay, so this is the max, this is the one. If you see, first deployment will create it as replica set. First replica set is running, then only the deployment will show as a running. Okay, so what is saying it is old replica set, new replica set? If you update this pod deployment configurations image or something, then it will do a rolling update fashion, right? Then it will create a new replica. As I said, first it will create a new pod and then it will delete the old pod. How that is going to happen? First it will create a new replica set at all and increase the replica, and then delete the old replica set. So that's why it is showing that old replica set is none, because we haven't done anything. If you update this, it will create a new replica set and the old replica set will show something and it will be deleted after some time. Okay, this is how deployment will look like, and how this is how the you need to generate the YAML files, how deployment looks like. This is the one. Okay, I hope you understand this point. And in the, and also you know the namespace now, you know the deployment now, and what are the question that is given from the namespaces. From this default like deployment is, you need to, you will ask to create deployment resource. Otherwise you will ask to increase the replicas of the deployment. Currently how many replicas it is creating, it is running. You see the pods, it will running only one replica, right? If you want to increase this replica quickly, because this is one of the important question that it will ask in the examination as well. So first you need to use some command to edit this. There are two ways. One is you can edit the running resources as well. If you want to edit this, you can edit the deployment, test deploy and run it, and from after this you can see the replicas inside the spec. You can change it to 2 or 3 or how many replicas that they asked for. But there are, remember, there are few things which you can't update. Those are not overriding parameters, those are not mutable, so you can't change something. So what is suggestible way is to create a new resource and make the changes and apply that and delete this. That is the one option. And another one is, there is directly one command provided by the Kubernetes to increase the, to scale the deployment, that is kubectl scale. You see -h help in every Kubernetes exam. In this exam you can able remember this point. If you not remembered any of the command, just kubectl and enter the word that you want to perform and then hyphen help. Then it will show you the commands along with the examples as well. See, this is examples. I want to increase the replicas to 3, right? So if I want to increase the 3, you can just copy this command. Okay, you can just copy this command, and if you can just add it here, scale replicas to 3. So what we want to increase the replicas deployment, right? Just type deployment, and what's the deployment name is test deploy. Currently it is 1 replica is running. Now we are changing it to 3 dynamically. If you enter this, then you can see kubectl get pods. See, 3 are already running. So this is one of the main questions, that one of the questions that you have been asking for the exam. If you see the deployment now, okay, you will describe deploy. Now now if you see that replica has been changed, replica set, increase the replica set, this replica set only to from 1 pod to 3 pods. Okay, this is how replica set and deployment will be helpful for you. And I will also discuss the updating strategies in the further videos, and I also will talk about stateful set, daemon set, pvs, etc., everything in the one by one videos. I hope you understand this video, and I hope you check the things that you are able to see in the Kubernetes thing. You can install one cluster, or you can just go to AWS and create one EKS cluster or anything like that in your free version. You can just explore what are the options available here, and you can just practice these questions that I am saying in these videos. Okay, I hope you understand this video. We'll meet with the next video.